salat and other good deeds. It is His brotherhood that helps us and is supposed to help us to do righteous deeds. We send salutations and darood upon our beloved Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, amongst the many qualities Allah mentions, and inshallah some of it we will outline during the course of our talk today and our presentation today. One of His great qualities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ عَادَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. Remember the favors of Allah ta'ala when you were enemies unto one another. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put love and muhabbat, and Allah ta'ala put love and kindness amongst you with His ni'mat and His favors. Brothers and sisters, today I would like to speak on some of the positive aspects of our deen. We hear today many, for various reasons and for various motives, people in the media and other platforms speaking about perceived criticisms, and I use the word perceived very, very deliberately and for a very great reason. It is perceived. Certain aspects about Islam, and they put it out in the media. And really these are in reality due to ignorance or perhaps due to other motives. But today, instead of looking at all of those negatives, I want to share with you some of the beauty of our deen. And for us to appreciate what Allah Ta'ala has granted us, let me start off by saying, in the ayat which Allah Ta'ala had revealed in the first ruku of Surah Ma'idah, which was revealed on such a Mubarak and blessed occasion, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Let me refresh your memory and say that when was this ayat revealed? You know, someone came to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, one of the Jewish scholars, and said, you have a verse in the Quran that if it was revealed upon us, we would have made Eid on that day. We would have celebrated it as a day of festival. So Umar asked which ayat, and he said the same ayat. Umar said, it was a day of Eid for us. It was on the day of Arafah, on the farewell Hajj. It was after Asr. It was in the farewell Hajj. It was on the day of Arafah. And it was in the presence of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with the Sahaba when this ayat was revealed. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum. We have completed deen. Deen that started from the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. It came to completion and perfection. Maybe the word to use is perfection. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in one hadith has so beautifully put it in this way. My example and the example of the previous prophets is like one most beautiful building. And everyone comes past and says, what a beautiful building. But you know, if only this one portion could have been completed, it would have added to the beauty of the building. I am that completed portion. With me, Nabuwat and Deen has come to a perfection. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. I have completed my favors upon you. And I am happy with Islam as a religion for you. I am happy and pleased, says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with Islam as a religion for you. Our religion has not been something that comes through the intellect of something. Get a spark of, a thought that comes and say, this is good and this is not good. And all of a sudden, it depends upon how a person articulates the matter to say what is right and wrong. And according to the articulation, sometimes people move in a certain direction. No. Our deen is not dependent upon that. It has got the seal of approval. You know, you sometimes see the halal certification on certain products. Huh? Our deen has got the seal of approval of none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not following anyone's experiences. We are not following anyone's intellect. We are following what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen. Not only for us, but for humanity. And look at how beautifully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. We have granted you a most moderate and a justly balanced deen that does not fall short of the limit, that does not go beyond the limit. In everything you will find the beauty of Islam lies in its moderation. Not moderation from the political sense. That is something that is characterized by many other aspects. we follow moderation because it is the characteristic of our deen. خَيْرُ الْأُمُورِ أَوْسَطُهَا. The best of all matters is that in which moderation is adopted. Look at sometimes how people, let us start off from one of the most basic and most important beliefs that anyone is supposed to have, the greatness and about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at how humanity have gone to two extremes. On one extreme has been those who, unfortunately, according to us, deny the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can you deny the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? But there are people who do so. Sometimes you ask them that how can you deny that being who created you in the wombs of the mother? Normally for any production or creation to take place, you need light. خَلَقَكُم مِّن بَعْدِ خَلْقٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ ثَلَاثٍ. In 3 layers of darkness He created human beings. Right? And then look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is there anyone who has gone into the womb of the mother to say that the hair of the head must grow, but the hair of the eyebrow must not grow? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planned it. How is it possible that someone comes up and say that the child is born without teeth? Right? So that when its first meal or its first sustenance is the breast of the mother, there should be no teeth, that it does not cause inconvenience. And then at the time comes when it needs to eat solid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants it teeth. Does this happen by coincidence? But yet there are people who deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other hand, there are those who have attributed partners to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have attributed partners to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that attributing partners to Almighty Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قالوا اتخذ رحمة لقد تكاد السماوات يتفطرن منه وتنشق الأرض وتخر الجبال حتى أن دعوا للرحمن ولدا. It is enough for the earth to split, for the earth, the heavens to come down, and the mountains to be destroyed, that people have claimed a son for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you claim a son to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're bringing Allah ta'ala's greatness to the level of a human being. Right? So we do not believe in that, because we believe that you are bringing Allah ta'ala to the level. So then there are those who go and associate partners, sometimes partners in the form of Trinity, sometimes partners in the form of idols. And in between that is وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهُ وَاحِدٌ. Your Allah is one. Look at the beauty. Our center of our deen is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We fear Him the way we fear no one else. We trust in Him the way we trust in no one else. وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. He who relies upon Almighty Allah, Allah ta'ala becomes sufficient for him. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدَهُ. Is Allah ta'ala not sufficient for you? It comes in one hadith that when a person goes and trusts and make dua to anyone else, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala complains. Oh my bondsman, to who are you going? Are you going to someone who is better than me? وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. He who relies upon Almighty Allah, Allah ta'ala is sufficient for him. Such a great deen that does not rely upon anyone else. We rely only upon Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu la ilaha illahu. لا تأخذه سنة له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. To him belongs everything which is in the heavens and earth. The word له ما في السماوات, there are two aspects. One is Malik and Malik. Malik means the one who is the power and authority, and Malik means the one who is the owner. Allah Ta'ala is both Malik and Malik. Therefore, when we read Maliki Yawmiddin, we read in both Qiraat. Maliki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin. Both can be read. Allah is both the power and authority, and He is the owner of everything. What a great, is it better to believe the way Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam said, Ya sahibay sijid, arbabun mutafarriqun khayrun, amillahul wahidul qahar. Oh my companions of the prison, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is many lords better, or is one great Lord better? One Allah. And Allah is powerful that He does not have to answer to anyone. He does not need to answer to anyone. This is also a ni'mat of Allah Ta'ala. For if Allah Ta'ala wants to forgive, He doesn't have to justify His forgiveness. He can forgive because forgiveness is more closer to Him than His punishment. So this is how we believe. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي, who can intercede before him besides his permission? Yes, we believe in intercession, but intercession comes with Allah Ta'ala's permission. And it is also Allah's. There are many people who will intercede. It comes in a hadith that the Hafiz will intercede for 10 people. He will take 10 people to Jannah. I normally put it this way: the Hafiz got 10 visas for Jannat. The Hafiz got 10 visas for Jannat. So subhanallah, acknowledge the Hafiz, respect him. Mention is made that people who lose their small children when they are young, they will intercede on behalf of their father. And the greatest Shafa'at Kubra, the greatest intercession will be our beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on behalf of the sinners of this ummah, Shafi al-Mudhnibeen. That is why one of his qualities, when you go to the Roza Mubarak in Medina Munawwara and you're walking towards that, on the left hand side written in brass is the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Tirmidhi, Shafa'ati li ahli al-kaba'iri min ummatihi. My intercession will be for those people of the ummah that have committed sins and transgression. We rely upon that. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ إِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. So anyway, I'm just trying to show you the greatness of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now look at the beauty of our religion. And I don't want to do it in such a way that we compare. At the end of the day, we are very careful because of the Quranic verse, not because of any being politically correct. وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Says Allah in the last page of the 7th juz. Right? Do not abuse those who worship idols besides Allah, because they in retaliation, they will abuse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we don't abuse, or we don't speak about other religions in a way that is denigrating, but for our own purposes. Look at this whole beauty aspect of how we look at the one is to believe that Allah is obliged to forgive. Right? So if you believe that Allah Ta'ala is obliged to forgive, in a way you are taking away the qudrat and power of Almighty Allah. If He is obliged to forgive, He doesn't have the capacity to punish and take retribution, then what type of power and authority is that? What type of Lord is that? Right? On the other hand, we also believe that you and I, we have the perfect balance with regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hijr, نَبِّئْ عِبَادِي أَنِّي أَنَا الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ وَعَنَّا عَذَابِي هُوَ الْعَذَابُ الْعَلِيمُ. Tell unto my bondsman, O Prophet of Almighty Allah, نَبِّئْ عِبَادِي, that I am forgiving and merciful. But also tell unto my bondsman that my punishment is also very severe. Look at the right balance. Those people who believe that Allah Ta'ala is obliged and has to forgive, there's a certain degree of arrogance that come into the minds of such people. Allah will definitely forgive us. We are saviors. We are saved. Because we are saved, other people are not saved. Right? Because Allah is obliged to forgive us because of a certain reason, because of a certain act that had happened, rightly or wrongly. Right? We don't believe in this. But we, because of this aspect, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who can extract retribution, you and I, as believers, we are extremely humble. So even when we do the greatest of deeds, we get up at the time of tahajjud. At the time of tahajjud, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. I sometimes wonder at this particular ayat. When you're getting up for tahajjud, normally there's a certain degree of piety that is attached to that deed. But Allah says, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ, at the time of ashar you are making istighfar. Why? Why do you make istighfar at that time? Because of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who accepts. And we don't know whether Allah ta'ala accepts or not. Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anhu say, if someone gives me the guarantee that even a small deed of mine has been accepted, it is better for me than the world and whatever it contains. We hope that Allah will accept. We have expectation that Allah will accept. But we don't have certainty. Not have certainty, it creates humility within us. We have expectation. We have every right to have expectation. We learn a lot from our elders, and we learn a lot from our ulama. Mufti Taqi Usmani was one of our great scholars in today's time, writes about one of his teachers, Dr. Abdullah Arafi Rahmatullah alayhi. Right now, he was a great scholar. Right, he happened to perform the janazah of the founder of our madrasa in Bin Nuri town, Maulana Yusuf Allama Yusuf Bin Nuri Rahmatullah alayhi. So when he passed away, Mufti Taqi Usmani wrote, some words about his sheikh. He was his spiritual, mentor. So he said one person came to him one day and he said that our ibadat is useless. Our worshipping is useless. All our salat means nothing. So Dr. Sahab told him that, don't say like that. Yes, it is weak. It is not worthy of presenting before Almighty Allah. When we make namaz, we make our salah, it's not worthy of presenting, it's not worthy and equal to the greatness of Allah. Where can we bring that salah that is equivalent to the greatness of Allah? You are right in that sense, but don't say it is useless. It is not useless. Inna Allah la yudhi'u ajra al-muhsinin. Allah will never allow anyone's effort to go to waste. So he insisted. He says useless, it's useless. So to make him realize what he is saying, Dr. Sahab all of a sudden heard, and then afterwards he just told him, he said, if it is useless, make sajda in front of me. If it is useless, and you're saying it is useless, make sajda in front of me. He said, how can I do that? I can only do it to Allah. He said, if you can only do it to Allah, it is not useless. It is valuable. But at the same time, while we have expectations, we never have arrogance because we don't know whether Allah Ta'ala will accept or not. That is why it is haram to have pride with regard to your good deeds, because good deeds can only be beneficial to you if it is accepted by Allah and you do not know that. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said in a hadith, sometimes a person makes ibadat and does good deeds, there is one span between him and Jannah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away the ability to do good deeds. After good deeds, ability also comes from Almighty Allah. And he starts doing transgression, he starts doing ibadat, and he becomes amongst the inmates of Jahannam. And sometimes a person does evil deeds until there is one span between him and Jahannam. And then Allah Ta'ala gives him tawfiq. Allah Ta'ala gives him the ability to do good. And then he become amongst the inmates of Jannat. So look, is there any other who's got this right balance? The right balance that we fear about Allah with regard to inna adhab rabbihim ghayru ma'moon. The adhab of Allah is such that no one can feel himself safe from, no matter how much ibadat he does. But yet at the same time, we have expectation of His mercy. Inna rahmati ghalabat wa fi inna rahmati sabaqat wa fi riwayatin ghalabat ghadabi. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's hadith. Allah says, my forgiveness exceeds and supersedes my wrath and anger. So we have expectation of Allah's mercy, yet at the same time, we are also fearful of Allah Ta'ala's punishment. Look at the beauty. Sometimes people don't even regard Allah. Forgiveness doesn't matter to them. According to some, Allah is obliged to forgive us, therefore we can do whatever we want. They have a sense of arrogance, and sometimes you see that arrogance being displayed. Right? Look at the beauty of our understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Then we come to the next aspect. Says Allah in the Holy Quran, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah has done you a tremendous favor that He sent a Rasul min anfusihim, from amongst your own kind. Subhanallah. لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Right? Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. Say, I'm a human being as you are human beings. It doesn't mean that we are equal in status. Far from it. How can we ever even think that a human being like you and I, full of sinners, can ever be equivalent to the greatness of Allah's Nabi and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's chosen one, Al-Mustafa? How can we even think about that? It is something that can never be. But one thing, we share our quality of humanity with our beloved Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Within that category, we are worlds apart. Like how someone has put it, that if you take charcoal is carbon, pure carbon. And you take diamond is also carbon. But will you ever compare the two? Will you ever compare charcoal? You can take bagfuls of charcoal and you will not, no one will give you, and will not be equivalent to one diamond. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the way Muhammadun Basharun walaysa kal Bashari. Muhammadun Yaqutun wa Nasu kal Hajari. Muhammad is a human being, but he's not like, like us in terms of status. Muhammad is like a very valuable stone, a ruby, emerald, maybe beyond that also. And we are like ordinary stones on the street. But we share the aspect of humanity. Now look, what has that done? Do you realize what that has done? What it has done, it has made it possible for us to strive to emulate the Prophet of Almighty Allah. It is made it. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Bear in mind, there are many, many poets who have made mention that you will never ever be able to do justice to the praise of our beloved Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Arabic, the Urdu poet had said, Ya Rasul Amin, Khatamul Mursaleen, Tutsa kohi nahi, Tutsa kohi nahi. There is no one like you, there is no one like you. Dil ko himmat nahi, lab ko yara nahi. Our heart doesn't have the capacity to listen to the praise. Our tongue does not have the vocabulary to speak in praise of him. Tutsa kohi nahi, Tutsa kohi nahi. In conclusion, we will say there is no one like you. The Persian poet put it in another most beautiful way. Hazar bar bishawayam duhan zamusko gulab. Say, wash your tongue 1,000 times with mushk and gulab. The tongue still won't be able to have the ability to praise the Prophet of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a human being. The way we said, I am a human being the way you are a human being. In this particular way, in private, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would make such ibadat that his feet would swell. Right? His feet would swell. But his status was such, I heard from my Ustad, Maulana Allama bin Rahmatullah, he said that Allah had put a veil on the greatness of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and even the beauty of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Otherwise, people would not have been able to see the greatness of our beloved Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But of course, because of him being a human, he had emotions. He had aspects that a human being has, suffering from hunger, thirst, pain, etc. Now, what that has done is, he lived amongst people as an equal. He did not like to create a great rift, but he lived amongst people like one who had greatest amount of humility, and he always was emphasizing this aspect that he was a human prophet. So when someone came in front of him one day and made dua, Masha Allah wa Masha Muhammad, what Allah Ta'ala wishes and what Muhammad wishes, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Ataj'alu lillahi nidda, are you equating me with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now this has been the beauty of this ummah, talking about the balance. On one hand, Allah Ta'ala in the Holy Quran has made mention of certain people in the past, certain ummats in the past, they went to one extreme. وَيَقْتُلُونَ النَّبِيِّينَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. They went to go and kill the prophets without justification. Right? One group of people went in that direction. And on the other hand were those people who went on the other type of extreme, where they attributed qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to their prophet. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله هو المسيح ابن مريم. So these two extremes, in between these two extremes, look at how we have found the right balance as an ummah. We have found the right balance in our teachings, that we showed that respect to the Prophet of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that no other ummah has been able to show that respect. And we can say that without any exaggeration, without any pride. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi one day giving dars of hadith, right? And while giving the dars of hadith, all of a sudden he winces in pain from time to time. The students notice it, but they don't say anything. And all of a sudden, after the lesson, Imam, you did this, what was the reason? What did you do? Why were you wincing in pain? He said, just lifted up his kurta. He said, go and see, there is something causing me pain. They saw a scorpion had stung him 17 times. Imam, why didn't you tell us? I felt ashamed for my pain to leave the dars of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There was I can't recall, I read it somewhere, that one of the great khulafa, one of the great rulers in our time, but not amongst the khulafa Rashidin, I don't have the name exactly, he had a servant by the name of Muhammad, and one day while addressing him, he called him Tajuddin, call him another name, call him by another title. So he went away feeling very bad. He said, why didn't the Khalifa, call me by my name? And he stayed away for some days. And then the Khalifa summoned and said, why didn't you come? He said, I felt that you were angry with me. What gave you that impression? He said, that day when you called me, you didn't call me by name, you called me by something. He said, why do you force me? Why do you force me to reveal something that I don't want to reveal? And then when he insisted, he said, I never took the name of Muhammad without wuzu. That day when I had to call you, I did not have wuzu, therefore I called you by another name. This is how the Ummah has respect for the Prophet of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yet at the same time, we were very careful not to attribute divinity to the Prophet of Almighty Allah. And look at what this has done. One of the things was our beloved Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was most humane, compassionate and humble. In public and private, he was overcome sometimes with emotions of joy and sadness. The way he dealt with those emotions showed us the way how we as human beings will deal with emotions of joy and sorrow. Sahaba say that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had these emotions. When he sometimes was happy, he used to show the happiness. He used to laugh. But his laugh was not something that was loud, was not something that was heard by people. It was something that was subtle. He used to smile. Sometimes when there was excessive happiness, people used to see the inner portion of the teeth. Sometimes when he used to be in anguish and sorrow, he used to cry. And when he used to cry, then that also people say was subtle. He never cried loudly, he never wailed loudly. Sometimes there used to be a crying in which people used to hear the crying. Sometimes he used to choke on his tears. And look at me, give you some of the examples of the light-hearted moments and the crying of our beloved Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu one day came, and he heard Aisha radiallahu anha, saying certain, arguments with Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And remember, the wives of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam were together with being the Ummahatul Mu'mineen. They were the wives of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And wives to a certain degree, I'm not actually now encouraging it, but the wives have a certain right over their husbands. And sometimes, let me tell you, that if wives complain to their husbands, husband must take it as a compliment. And the reason why they should take it as a compliment is that they feel you important enough to complain about you. They don't complain in front of you, that's a problem. So the fact that they do so is a very great ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his relation to the Prophet of Almighty Allah was different. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to laugh with the wives. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to sometimes, enjoy joyful moments, listen to poetry, race with Aisha radiallahu anha. That relationship was a different relationship. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu couldn't take it. And he started rebuking Aisha radiallahu anha to the extent that he became so angry because of his love for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he moved in the direction of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And you know what happened? The Prophet of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stood in front of Abu Bakr in protecting Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha. And then afterwards, when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went away, the Prophet of Almighty Allah shed a light-hearted moment. He joked with Aisha radiallahu anha. Thereafter, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came. And when he came back, he said, in his son, Hazrat Aisha and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam were having a joke, they were laughing, they were sort of in a jovial mood. And Hazrat Abu Bakr said, can I now share the joyful moment the way I shared that last time you came, there was a certain degree of, argument or disputes or something like that. Sometimes Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam laughed on family matters, and we feel happy. When there are certain family things that happen that gives us joy, a child is born, someone comes from a foreign place, our father, parents might be somewhere in another place, and then we meet with them, there's a certain degree of joy. Look at how Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had this. Hazrat Ja'far radiallahu anhu stayed in Abyssinia. And this is amazing, because I find it very amazing, because Hazrat Ja'far radiallahu anhu stayed in Abyssinia for a long period of time. He only came to Medina in the 7th year after Hijri. That means almost a decade, if not more, he stayed in Abyssinia. How he stayed should be an example for us who stay places like Australia and South Africa, where we live in a situation where, in a minority situation. So now when Hazrat Ja'far radiallahu anhu came, who was a cousin of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam grew up with him. What did Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say? When he greeted Hazrat Ja'far and he saw Hazrat Ja'far, he said, Wallahi ma adri bi'ayyima afrah, bi fathi Khaybar am bi qudubi Ja'far. I do not know what has given me greater joy, the victory in Khaybar or the coming of Ja'far. He was a human being. He loved things with regard to family matters. And sometimes incident happens in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to laugh and smile. So you found one day Umar radiallahu anhu came and sought permission from Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And فَلَمَّا اسْتَعْذَنَ عُمَرْ قُمْنَا فَبَادَرْنَا الْحِجَابِ فَدَخَلَ عُمَرْ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يضحك. There were women around Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, most likely the wives of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They heard Umar coming, they heard Umar asking for permission. He said, Umar, I want to ask permission to enter. And all of those women, they wore their hijab, they wore their what they were wearing, and they left the room. And as Umar radiallahu anhu came, we found Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam laughing. And when he saw Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam now laughing, he said, Adhak Allahu sinnak ya Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, may Allah Ta'ala always keep you laughing and smiling. Tell me the reason of your laughing. And Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Ajibtu min ha'ula'i allati kunna indi falamma sami'ta sawtan ibtadarna al-hijab. Umar, I'm laughing at this woman. They were sitting and arguing with me. When they heard your voice, they scattered. They scattered. For Umar said, Ya aduwati anfusihinna. Oh, enemies of your own soul, you are afraid of me and you're not afraid of the Prophet of Almighty Allah. They said, Kunta afaz wa aghlaz. You are more harsh than the Prophet of Almighty Allah. Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was laughing. And there are many examples. One day Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, that I know when you are very happy with me and I know when you are not so happy with me. How do you know? Ya Rasulullah, do you know this? How do you know? He said, when you are very happy with me in your conversation, you say, by the Lord of Muhammad. You take example and you take Uqsimu bi Rabbi Muhammad. And when you are not so happy with me and things are happening in the house, it normally happens between husband and wife, then in your conversation you say, by the Lord of Ibrahim. Subhanallah. I wonder if we know when our wives are happy with us or not. Do we know the moods of our wives? I would say from this particular hadith is a sunnah to know what the mood of your wife is. We don't even know what the favorite color of our wives are. So let me give you, that is also one of the aspects that you should try and know. Because the Prophet of Allah knew the mood of his wife. Subhanallah. Now these were the joyful moments. Yet at the same time, there were times when our beloved Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sometimes used to get very happy. When Alam Nashrah was revealed. Now I don't want to go into the details. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. The word usr and yusr is used. Usr is difficulty, yusr is ease. The Arabic terminology and the laws of Arabic grammar are such that the word usr has been used twice, but the word yusr has been also used twice. But because of the alif lam coming in front of usr, and when an alif lam comes in front of one word, it is a determined thing. So it is once. And the word yusr has been used twice. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Alam Nashrah was revealed, he came out smiling. And he said, Allah has created one difficulty and Allah has created two ease. Allah has created one difficulty within two eases. Inshallah, my ummah will have more ease than difficulty. Subhanallah. So in everyone's situation, we have our difficulty. But let us face it, there are more joyful moments, there are more calm moments in our life than what there is difficulty. Right? And may Allah also keep it. Then also, sometimes Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also had situations in which sadness overtook him and he cried. Right. Now look at this particular aspect. Sometimes he cried for various reasons. Sometimes he cried out of the fear of Almighty Allah. One day he told Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu ta'ala, Iqra alayya, ya Abdullah. Abdullah, read the Quran unto me. And Abdullah ibn Masud said, Iqra alayka wa alayka unzil, ya Rasulullah. O Prophet of Almighty Allah, must I read the Quran unto you when it has been revealed unto you? He said, yes, I'm in the mood of listening today. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes in the mood of reading, sometimes in the mood of listening. So Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu anhu read from Surah An-Nisa. And when he came to the ayat, فَكَيْفَ إِذَا جِئْنَا مِنْ كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ بِشَهِيدٍ, وجئنا بك على هؤلاء شهيدا يومئذ يود الذين كفروا وعصوا الرسول لو تسوى بهم الأرض ولا يكتمون الله حديثا. He said, I looked up and I saw Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam crying. فغلب البكاء على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وفاضت عيناه بالدموع وأشار بيده إلى ابن مسعود إن حسبك يا ابن مسعود. I saw Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam crying and he said, enough ya ibn Mas'ud, enough ya ibn Mas'ud. Ibn Mas'ud said, I looked at the Prophet of Almighty Allah and tears had overwhelmed him. Sometimes he cried out of the fear of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes he cried at the death of some family members. He cried when Ibrahim, his son, passed away. He cried when Zainab, his granddaughter, passed away. His daughter passed away. And of course, I think it was Umayma, most probably the granddaughter of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam passed away. He cried. He cried when certain family members passed away. Then there was when after the verse was revealed, which indicated some aspect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take people to task on the day of judgment. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam cried. When Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent our beloved Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and said, go and ask Muhammad why he is crying. So when he came, in front of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, so Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Allahumma ummati fabaka. My ummat and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam cried further. Ya Jibreel, idhab ila Muhammad, fas'alhu ma yubkik. Then Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, Innahu yabki min ajali ummati. He is crying because of his ummah. Then Allah ta'ala told Jibreel, go and tell Muhammad, Inna sanurdhika fi ummati. I will make him happy with regard to his ummat. وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. I know there's always a very interesting point in our academic circles with regard to which is the ayat which inspires greatest hope. Now normally, always people used to say this ayat, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Oh, you who have done wrong, don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive all type of sins. Recently I read a kitab and I read a book where one alim said to me, this ayat, وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Very soon Allah will give you that which pleases you. To me, it is the most inspiring and hopeful ayat in the Quran, because our beloved would not be happy until the entire ummah is forgiven. So the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam cried for his ummah. Sometimes Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam cried at the death of, when he went to approach people who had lost their near and dear ones. When after the battle of Muta, when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to the house of Zayd ibn Haritha, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw his small children playing outside the house. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam hugged them. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam hugged them more than normally what he hugged them. And he did the same at the house of Asma bint Umays, and who was the wife of Ja'far radiallahu anhu at that time. And Asma bint Umays perceived something and said, O Prophet of Almighty Allah, have you heard anything about Ja'far? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, yes, I got the news that he has passed on. So he cried at that time. The Prophet of Almighty Allah cried when he hugged the children of Ja'far after he had been martyred. Sometimes the crying was amazing. Amazing reasons why the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam cried. One day when Dihya Kalbi accepted Islam, Dihya Kalbi was among the famous companions. So when Dihya Kalbi accepted Islam, he came and he asked that, will Allah forgive my sins? So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Inna al-Islam yahdimu ma kana qabla. Islam will wipe away all the difficulty of the past and all of the sins and transgression of the past. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm not sure whether Allah will definitely forgive my sins. So the Nabi of Allah said, Dihya, tell me why. He said, O Prophet of Almighty Allah, O Muhammad, I buried 7 of my daughters alive. I buried 7 of my daughters alive. When he said that, the Prophet was stunned. And for a moment, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was silent. Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came down with a wahi that tell Dihya that if Allah had forgiven his disbelief and his kufr, then Allah, because of his reading the kalima la ilaha illallah, will forgive that particular guna and sin also. So when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard this, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam lifted his hands and cried and said, Ya Allah, Dihyaz, one kalima of la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah has forgiven the sin of his burying 7 daughters alive. My ummah will recite kalima many times. Ya Allah, forgive their sins which they have committed while they are reciting the kalima la ilaha illallah. Sometimes the crying was very amazing. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day goes outside his house at the time of Zawal. Normally that time people didn't come out, in the Arabian desert at the time of the heat. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out, Abu Bakr came out, Umar came out. I'm just cutting the story is very short just to give you a lesson. And then when they came out, they all realized it came out of hunger. And then they went to the house of Abu Ayyub Ansari. Can you imagine how happy he was? The Prophet of Allah had come, Abu Bakr had come, Umar had come. So he, out of excitement, what he did was he went the extra mile in hospitality. So the first thing he did was he put 3 different types of kajur in front of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you have, the tamar, the rutab, and the busar. Now tamar is fresh dates, right? Now tamar is old dates, right? The dry dates. Rutab is fresh dates. Busar is in between, right? So he put 3 types of kajur in front of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He went to go and he told his wife, you got a little bit flour, make bread. And he had a small lamp, he went to go and slaughter it, and he roasted the meat and he brought it in front of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now do you know what happened at that time? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when just he was about to eat, after being hungry for so many days, right? He first thing, when the meat was prepared, he said, took the permission and said, go and give it first to Fatima. Go and give it first to Fatima. She hasn't eaten for 3 days. And then when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate finish, Sahaba who were there said he started weeping. And he said, what did he say? He said, Rutabun, wa basar, wa busarun, wa tamarun, wa lahmun, wa khubzun. Allah gave us 3 different types of kajur. He gave us bread. He gave us meat. These are the types of ni'mats Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about on the day of judgment. Brothers, have we ever cried when we see lavish food in front of us? Have we ever cried? The Prophet of Allah cried when he saw those. And he said, Lahmun, wa rutabun, wa tamarun, wa busarun, wa rutabun. Now these, the reason why, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ, we have got an example of who to emulate. There is no other religion that has got this example. Allah has given us, so the Prophet of Allah went through all of these different situations. Happiness, sadness, sometimes people who have lost their lives amongst his own family members. So in his life, even within his battles, sometimes there was joy at the time of the battle of Badr. Sometimes there was sadness at the time of the battle of Uhud. Sometimes in Hunayn, initially there was setbacks, and thereafterwards there was happiness, right? So look at all of these type of situations. The reason was the Prophet of Allah went through all of these situations. The ulama write, Allah had put these different types of situation that he can be a perfect example of how to lead your life. There is no need for us to go anywhere else. There is no need for us to go anywhere else in leadership, marketing skills, or anything. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ. Allah has given the Prophet of Almighty Allah all the greatest examples, the perfect examples. So this is just some of the examples I've given you, the beauty of our deen. I'm just giving examples. It's already 9 o'clock. We said we must finish at 9 o'clock. Let me just give you 1 or 2 other examples. Look at the beauty of our deen with regard to dunya. Right? And one example you have are those people who believe that this material world is everything. Right? They go to this example of, if we don't have wealth, we are failures, we are losers. Right? إن هي إلا حياتنا الدنيا نموت ونحيا وما نحن بمبعوثين وقالوا إن هي إلا حياتنا الدنيا. There is nothing but this dunya. On the other hand, there were those, maybe not so much now, but previously there were those, وَرَحْبَانِيَّةً ابْتَدَعُوهَا مَا كَتَبْنَاهَا عَلَيْهِمْ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ. They used to adopt monasticism. They used to stay away from the dunya. They used to stay away. Some people still stay away, feeling that you have to stay away from marriage. Right? So you have all of that type of situations that were there. So on one hand, you have those type of people who says, stay away from dunya. There is no maza, there is no joy in life then. But of course, stay away from dunya. The more you stay away from dunya, the more you come closer towards Almighty Allah. On the other hand, those people who made everything their material world. Without dunya, they felt that they are unsuccessful. We look at the beauty Islam has given us. Look at the beauty. The beauty Islam has never said that you must stay away from this material world. It has never said that you must stay away from the good that this material world provide. You know, in Kanzul Ummal, there's a hadith. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu saw someone making dua, Ya Allah, save me from this world. Ya Allah, save me from this world. So Umar asked him, what are you making dua? He said, I'm making dua because of the negative aspects of this material world. He said, don't you want wealth, children? He said, I want. So he said, there is also part of this material world. Why are you asking Allah Ta'ala to stay away from this material world? Ask Allah that you want the good of this material world. Don't ask Allah that I don't want this material world. We want it, but we want it in the correct way. And we want it in a way that does not take us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحرموا طيبات ما أحل الله لكم. O believers, do not make haram the good things of this material world which Allah has made halal for you. ولا تعتدوا. But in the love of this material world, don't go over the limit. Don't regard that to be the be all and the end all. Look at, I sometimes, the Quran is so amazing sometimes. And look at, when Fir'aun, when he started speaking to the people of Musa alayhi salam and the Bani Israel, he told them something which unfortunately today when you look at what Fir'aun told Bani Israel, today many of us think the same way. فنادى فرعون في قومه قال يا قوم أليس لي ملك مصر وهذه الأنهار تجري من تحتي. What is Musa alayhi salam calling you to? Look at me. I got the river of Nile. I got Misr. Tajri. Afala tubsirun. Don't you see? Am ana khair. Am I better than this person who is not so materially prosperous? He does not know how to speak. فَلَوْلَا أُلْقِيَ عَلَيْهِ أَسْوِرَةٌ مِّن ذَهَبٍ. If he was successful and he was right and correct, why didn't he have jewelry? Why didn't he have gold? How many times you hear people saying, look at this country. Look at how prosperous it is. And look at those people who are living in another country, which Muslims are. Is that your formula for success? Don't you see the conduct? Don't you see is that only what you have made success into be? And look at, that is what Fir'aun told his people. We believe that yes, what is the world, material world for us is not something that we regard as useless and insignificant. No, far from it. We don't regard it as insignificant. Look at the beauty of our deen. We don't regard it as insignificant. There used to be, Qari Tayyib Sahib was one of the rectors of Darul Uloom Deoband. He used to say, whatever good you are going to get in this world, in the year after comes from this world. Whatever good. Your children, your business, the next generation you bring into existence, your Jannat will come from this material world. And I'll give you an example. I think many of you must have gone to India, Pakistan. Anyone gone to India, Pakistan? Who has gone to India, Pakistan? Right now when you go to the rickshaw or you go to a taxi, right? So sometimes you tell the taxi, I want to go to the airport, but on the way, I want to stop at this place, and I just want to collect one parcel, then I'm going to go to the airport. So what he'll tell you sometimes, by go wherever you want, meter chalu hai. Huh? The meter is running. So you go, you stop, I'll just keep the meter running. This is the example of this dunya. When we become baligh, our meter for year after starts. We sometimes feel year after will start after we die. Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. The day we die is the consequences, not the year after. The year after has been made while we are alive. Dunya is a sowing ground for the year after. So the meter is, the moment we become baligh, the meter for year after is starting. So the meter is going. Your good deeds are also going. And your evil deeds are also going. Make an effort, your good deeds are more. so that your meter on the day of Qiyamah will be that in that particular the day, the deeds will be good more. So look at that. We don't regard the world to be insignificant. أَمْوَالُكُمُ الَّتِي جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ قِيَامًا. Allah has made this wealth for you as a means of existence. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Oh Allah, give us good in this world, give us good in the year after. But he also made dua. اللهم لا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا غاية رغبتنا. Oh Allah, do not make this material world the be all and end all of all our desires and all our aspirations. Do not make it the reason why we gain ilm and knowledge. Ilm and knowledge is too great for it to be acquired for worldly purposes. Do you get anyone like that? Do you ever got a deen like that that has given you such a perspective? You hear people going in one extreme, going the other extreme. If you follow the deen, and this beautiful deen, you will never go the extreme if you follow it in a proper manner. Look at the salam Allah has given us. Allahu Akbar. People greet in different ways. Sometimes people greet you that let it be a good phase. Right? So only it must be good in the morning. In the afternoon, I don't care what happens to you. Huh? And even if something bad happens to you, it's still good. Look at what our salam. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah Ta'ala's peace and blessing be upon you. For someone who is a stranger, when you make him salam for the first time, it is a message. What a message it is. I am your brother in Islam. I won't harm you, inshallah. For someone who is your friend, you make him assalamu alaikum. I am still your friend. I will always be there for you. Huh? Is there a better salam and a better greeting any other way? Look at the beauty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. This is the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the aspect with regard to the aspect of brotherhood. I find this amazing. I've traveled a lot. Sometimes you meet a person and within an hour or two you have a relationship with him that you cannot imagine. I met my brother Arshad now, and we were sitting and talking of different trips that he had, different trips I had, and we said maybe we should plan a trip together. I just known him for 3 hours. Is there any other ism and ideology that brings about innamal mu'minuna ikhwa? Such a brotherhood that immediately after meeting someone you feel comfortable? And find out in other particular cultures you will find that they will take years to feel comfortable with someone. We meet someone for a short period of time, we have comfortability. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the aspect with regard to women. You know, this particular aspect that women are deprived in Islam. I gave this afternoon, I gave the example that when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam came after receiving the first wahi, you know, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam came, and where did he go? The first thing he went to his wife, Hazrat Khadija radiallahu ta'ala. He didn't go to his friends. I normally say that the Muslim woman many a times in our situation today, the modern culture spends half her life looking for a husband, and after she gets the husband, half the life she spent look for him, and she found him and he became a husband, and the other half wondering where he is. Where is he gone to now? So we don't have this type of situation. On the other hand, sometimes husband also, they do this. Sometimes they say whenever you see a husband opening the door of the car for his wife, you must know the car is new. He's not doing it out of respect for his wife. He's doing it because the car is new. But look at the Prophet of Allah. The first thing he came was Hazrat Khadija. Zambiluni, Zambiluni. And then Hazrat Khadija radiallahu ta'ala offered him the words of comfort. I'm going to cut it short, although those words of comfort were so beautiful. And then she said, Wallahi la yughzik Allah abada. Allah will never disgrace you. You all the time mending relationship. You are entertaining the guests. You are taking the part of those people who are poor. Those people who are dispossessed and oppressed and unjustly treated. You are taking their path, whether other people believe in you or not. وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ خَتِيجَ رَبِيَدِ أَشْهَدُ أَنَّكَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. I bear witness that you are a Rasul of Allah. The first person to bear witness to the greatest truth created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that was done by a woman. وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِنَ الصَّالِحَاتِ مِن ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنثَىٰ وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. Whoever does righteous deeds, male or female, Allah will give them a perfect life. Male or female. Spiritual development is equal to both male and female. To get into the ranks of coming closer towards Almighty Allah, we are equal footing. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken into account the aspects and certain emotional and psychological aspects of the woman by saying that why should queen slogs like slave? Allah hasn't given her financial responsibility. If ever she wants to contribute to the family, it will be her choice. It will not be an obligation. Allah hasn't given her that. Look at the beauty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And look at, sometimes, wallahi al-azim, they write about the aspect of woman in the Islamic world. I say, go and, the people who are living in the culture today are worthy of pity. They have to fulfill the role of womanhood, yet they are offered no protection whatsoever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I tell the men sometimes this, that even within the woman's life, there are certain times in the month where Allah ta'ala has excused them from salat. Allah has excused them from roza. You as a man, when Allah has excused them, you also excuse them in terms of their temperament at that time. Take care of them extra at that time. When Allah could do that, why can't you do that? Allah has given us such a beautiful deen. I can go on and on, my dear respected brothers. I just want to share with you, in an era where sometimes we don't appreciate what Allah Ta'ala has given us. I just wanted to take this opportunity of sharing some. I don't think I've even touched the tip of the iceberg. What Allah has given us is far more than what I can even talk about and what we can ever imagine. And therefore we make dua to Almighty Allah. Allahumma ahfazna bil Islami qa'ima, wa ahfazna bil Islami qa'ida, wa ahfazna bil Islami raqida. Oh Allah, protect us with Islam while we are sitting, while we are standing, while we are lying down. Allahumma tawaffana muslimin. Oh Allah, let us die with iman. Wa alhiqna bis salihin, and resurrect us amongst the pious people. That is really the gratitude that we should show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us. The Quran says, La in shakartum la azidannakum. If you are grateful, Allah will give you more. One of our great scholars in South Africa used to take this and say, when you are grateful for something, Allah will give you more. Now, what is more greater than iman? So, when you say you are going to be grateful, what can Allah give you more? He used to say, be grateful to Allah for giving you iman. Allah will give you more, inshallah, Allah will make you die with iman. So from time to time, read 2 rakats of salat. Allah, we thank you that you have given us Islam. And inshallah, Allah will give you more. That more, inshallah, Allah will keep us steadfast upon iman. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for the inspiring and informative talk. Jazakallah khair. I think it's dinner time now, inshallah. Sister Amma. No questions? No questions? Questions from the audience?
For about 5-7 minutes with Q&A.
Yes.
Anyone has any questions?
Q&A. Inshallah.
Either everyone, they say when there's no questions, either people understood everything or they understood nothing. I don't know.
Well, okay, for the sake if there is time,
Yes.
you touched upon, particularly in this day and age, the questions that we go through. Actually, there are websites that are, devoted to, questions you should ask a Muslim or questions you should ask, just challenging our belief, our faith, our deen. And one of the biggest ones that come through is about the position of women in Islam. What do you tell someone who sort of, what are the words that you counter this with? I'm not asking so much as justifying that women are not treated as subjugated to men in Islam, but how do you counter when when you're talking to peers or outsiders or disbelievers, or even people within our faith whose faith perhaps are not at that level of it?
Again, I would just say, look at what we started off, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. We have got a justly balanced ummah. Within the Muslim ummah also today there are two extremes. The one extreme is this, that takes this position of certain cultural practices by making it as part of Islam. Now that is also not the correct method. Amongst the things that are wrong is to impose marriage upon women. Right. Now that is a cultural practice, it's not an Islamic practice. Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbidden and said that you cannot get a woman married without her express consent. Right. To get her married is also against Islam. So this is one extreme. There's an extreme of sometimes bringing cultural practices. There are people who get daughters married without them even seeing the husband, or even getting them married without even asking their permission. Now those are type of things which is one extreme. The other type of extreme is this, that you see when Allah Ta'ala has said in the Quran, Ar-Rijalu Qawwamun ala Nisa. Now this is a very, very misunderstood type of ayat. Ar-Rijalu Qawwamun. Allah Ta'ala says Allah has given the man authority over the woman. Now many times people will say that, you see, we told you so that Islam regards woman as subjugated. To me, my understanding of this is this, that in this, far from it being woman being subjugated, men are being prejudiced in this ayat. I'm telling you the fact, I believe in this. Men are being told that it is your responsibility, ar-rijalu qawwamun. It's not qawwamun, doesn't mean I'm the boss. That's what we make a mistake. Ar-rijalu qawwamun means, sayyidul qawmi khadimuhum. The leader of the nation is the servant of the nation. I'm not saying literally the husband must become the servant, although many times it happens. But what I'm saying is that Allah has put a responsibility upon a man that is not put upon the fair female. Allah has not made her because of the fact of her being weaker, of course, and there's a fact. In fact, yesterday I was speaking to someone who was speaking to me and said, he was in the police. He said the fact that if a woman today has to phone the police and say the husband is beating her up, the police will come. But if a man has to phone the police and said that my wife is beating him up, they won't come. They won't come. Why won't they come? They regard this as something that is unusual. It's something that doesn't happen. Allah has given the man more strength than the fact that it might happen, not happen, but the human mind doesn't. So Allah has kept her in this particular sense that her responsibility has been taken care of. The financial, social, emotional, spiritual, physical needs have been supposed to be fulfilled by the husband. So even if the wife has money, she is not obliged to spend it upon the family. She can only spend it upon herself. Whether she does it or not, whether being a mother she will do that or not and spend it upon her children is a different matter. But I just feel that this whole particular aspect must be looked in context. And I think sometimes the fact that despite such great propaganda throughout the world, the people who are reverting to Islam are mostly women, tells you a very, very important story. Tells you a very important lesson. This particular aspect that women have been happy with regard to it, I know in our country there's a certain place where many of the white Afrikaner women, they want to get married to Muslim men. So someone asked them, why do you want to? They said, look at that, the Muslim men look after their wife. When they come home, they are not drunk. Most of our husbands, when they come home, they are drunk. They beat us up. When they come into the homes, when they come into the bed, because of the alcohol they consume, they throw up on the bed. We are forced to live with that. The point is, problem is that we get cowed down by this criticism and we don't see things objectively. Go and look at things objectively. And I think we will be surprised. In fact, we perhaps must go into a campaign. We must go into a campaign and say, look at how women are oppressed in your society. I don't know if that will work or not, but anyway.
It's called the Me Too movement. It's called the Me Too movement.
Really, look at it. I don't know on what, Wallahu alam, Allah knows best. We don't know what the situation is, but when you look at that, they have to bear the responsibility of their financial needs, they have to bear the responsibility of their family needs, And then they only sometimes, many a times, I mean, maybe there might be exceptions also within that. I don't want to generalize, but there are also situations where many a times they are only, appreciated because of their beauty. Look at this whole scandal with regard to what happened with Weinstein in Hollywood. Just look at that. And women whom we regard to be liberated, whom we regard to be the pinnacle of success, and when they started revealing what was happening to them, not nearly every one of those big stars, they started speaking about harassment. And on an unprecedented scale. So I think we just have to have a perspective with regard to it. But perhaps what we need to be doing is be confident about our own teachings without being arrogant with regard to it. Have a sense of compassion when we deal with people. May Allah give us a tawfiq, inshallah. Jazakumullah.
If we get the young brothers, just start picking up all the chairs, we move to this out, we'll get ready for dinner.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. Your barakah.